Trinidad and Tobago, Sunday, 15th of March, and we're doing a live video tonight following up on a lot of the issues surrounding COVID-19 coronavirus. Tonight, we are supposed to be joined by my brother, who is an epidemiologist on the front line of the viral outbreak. He's been on the front line of SARS and H1N1 and Ebola. He is my go-to resource for information, and I'm waiting for the connection right now from him. We spoke earlier, but in the meantime, while we're waiting on that connection, let me give you some information. As of now, there are, or as of 4 hours ago, there were 169,415 coronavirus cases worldwide. 169,415. That is confirmed cases. Italy is the one we're watching, because Italy's population demographics mirrors ours. We have a large aging population, and this COVID-19 coronavirus is detrimental to people upwards of 65, 70. No, it's not on YouTube Live yet. It's only on this. After this show, it'll be sent up on YouTube. We have all our resources dealing through Facebook right now. At the end of the show, it'll be up on YouTube. In Italy, they've had 29,000 cases in the past 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, Italy had 3 cases. 3 weeks ago, Italy had 3 cases. Now, Italy has just under 29,000 cases, and they've had 2,190 deaths. That's a lot. That's a fast development. There's some stuff that you should hear from another epidemiologist, and this is who we need to turn to guide us. The people who are dealing with this on the front line. I want you to hear this interview.
Joseph Fair, a virologist and epidemiologist who's worked on the front lines of the Ebola outbreak in Africa, believes facts may be our best defense against the coronavirus.
There's so much misinformation out there, and it's breeding a lot of confusion. Let me ask you this. Is COVID-19, as you call it, is it in the air? If I take a deep breath, did I potentially take a deep breath of the virus?
Especially not outside. You know, we're sitting in front of nature's greatest disinfectant, which is sunlight. The UV light inactivates the virus.
So around all these people, I'm relatively safe.
Absolutely. You need to come into direct contact with it, either by someone coughing or sneezing and those droplets landing on your face, your eyes, nose, or mouth, or you've touched a surface and then you yourself touch your face, nose, eyes, or mouth.
You're telling me that everything up here is the point of how the infection gets into my body?
It's natural instincts. Everybody touches their face, probably up to 50 to 100 times per day without even realizing that you're touching your face. It's going to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get coronavirus. If you're sticking to that rigid hand washing protocol, if you're using tissues and barriers, etc., you're going to be able to scratch your face, obviously, and not infect yourself every time you do so.
And with that in mind, we set out to explore how to best protect ourselves from the virus.
So public transit makes a lot of people nervous. I mean, This car is going to move. Usually there's not a seat.
Usually in close proximity.
You're going to hold
Again, I'll hold it with a tissue. If I don't have a tissue with me, I'll usually do an arm hold like this. Just to keep my skin from contacting it.
But, this idea of being 6 feet away from people, that's not going to happen on a typical bus or train.
Right. And that's why it's up to the individual. You've got to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze with your sleeve, ideally. We know just from studies from San Francisco's metro that a lot of antibacterial resistant pathogens, etc., last on these surfaces for a very long time.
He doesn't recommend masks except for sick individuals or trained medical workers.
And, I have this desire to put on a mask right now because there's so many people around us.
Yeah. The only way we recommend really mask, because there's only a specific type of mask that will protect you against the virus itself, and we tend to reserve those for healthcare workers. Also, if you're not using it with goggles, it's not really going to protect you because you've only blocked two of the three known routes of transmission. If you are sick and you're coughing, it is a good idea to maybe use a surgical mask yourself as a sick person. That way, when you do cough, if you're not covering, you've at least got a physical barrier between you and those droplets that would come out when you cough or sneeze.
Next, we headed to the office.
I think it's probably fair to say millions of Americans work in environments not unlike this, sitting, 6-7 feet apart. What should we be conscious of?
Mostly your own personal hygiene and being careful when you sneeze, etc., on others. So obviously wiping down your desk and disinfecting your desk several times per day is a good idea to keep your own self healthy. But there is going to be the occasional chance that you sneeze, and that is going to happen, sneezing and coughing, and during cold and flu season, very normal. So ideally, you'll have tissue or some hand sanitizer next to you. You'll be able to reach quickly, grab a tissue, use it to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze, immediately dispose of that tissue.
Don't put it on the desk.
Don't put it on the desk. And then hopefully sanitize your hands or go wash your hands. It would be even better.
And routinely disinfect your personal workspace, he says.
Everything here would be what we call a fomite, or a surface that can carry an infectious virus for up to 9 days in the case of coronaviruses.
So I sneeze, I wipe my nose, I pick up the phone, it's there.
Yes, absolutely, because this is really one of the filthiest areas, and including that cell phone in that, that's really one of your dirtiest areas. So I wipe down everything, all the keys, etc. I'll take my phone, wipe it down.
And the most powerful tool to fight coronavirus is soap.
Every surface here is some of your more dirtier areas that you can find anywhere in the world. So everybody that's just used the restroom coming here, this would be an infectious surface. This would be an infectious surface.
But
this would be an
water.
infectious surface.
I need the soap.
Absolutely. So our most powerful tool against fighting COVID-19, as well as any other infectious disease in general, get our soap. Ideally, you'll have hot and cold water. Make it a little warm. And I usually try to emphasize that, just a few seconds is not going to do the job. You don't need to do a surgeon's hand wash, but you need to do it pretty thoroughly.
Is it the water, the soap, the friction?
Soaps have a lot of detergents in them that automatically inactivate what we call enveloped virus. COVID-19 is an enveloped virus. So that both the friction, sliding it physically off, but also those detergents that break down the virus. Do a good hand rinse.
Okay.
Now, usually I will take, if there's a sink like this, my elbows and push it back.
Feels a little awkward, but
Yeah, it is. And this is something you have to get used to.
yeah.
Walk over, get your towels, wipe your hands. And then I usually take actually a second towel, which I recommend for everyone. And then this is what I use to open the door when I'm leaving the restroom.
Another helpful tip, create a barrier between yourself and surfaces we commonly touch, like elevator buttons.
Tissues are not always going to be with you or practical, so sometimes I always carry a pen myself.
Pen.
Touch it with the pen.
And speaking of potential transmission points, Fair points out cash is not necessarily king when it comes to the coronavirus.
Paper money is one of the filthiest objects that we touch in a day, just because literally millions of people have touched that before you have.
And lastly, no more handshakes.
Well, listen, a lot of great information. Appreciate it, and we'll leave it with an elbow bump.
Sounds good.
ANBC.
Let me tell you something, eh? All of that information is good information. We are at the start, and everybody who talks about this, who have experienced it elsewhere, are worried of our complacency. I want you to hear this. Those of you who didn't hear it, we put a lot of information out in the public space. And listen to this young lady.
So most of you know that I was in Italy a few weeks ago fleeing the coronavirus because the outbreak had just happened while I was in school there. And then I went to Florida to wait out my 2 weeks of quarantine just to make sure I was symptom free. And now I'm back in Trinidad watching the exact cycle that I watched in Italy and America happen again here in Trinidad for the third time. And I can't stress enough that It's not worth going out to bars, clubs, lines, down the islands, beach right now. Being around people is actually going to cause more harm by putting more stress on our healthcare system within the next few weeks. I'm going to address the elephant in the room and say that Trinidad doesn't have the best healthcare, and that means that we have limited ventilators, and doctors, if the healthcare system is under too much stress, will have to decide who lives and who dies. But today we have the opportunity to change that by staying indoors, by staying quiet, by doing what medical professionals are seeing in other countries that are affected so badly already. I would hate to see what I saw in Italy and Florida happen here, because God knows we can't sustain any amount of cases that would pop up within the next few weeks if we continue liming like normal. So, I don't know, food for thought. So, I'm not done, and I thought I was. If you feel as though you're healthy enough to battle coronavirus, great, good for you. I'm so happy, but there's so many other people in Trinidad who definitely aren't. We have one of the highest rates of heart disease in the entire Caribbean. And we have people with diabetes, people with autoimmune diseases, people with low immune systems, and they're at risk when you are going out and socializing. So this is not about you, it's about everybody. This is a we thing, and you gotta live your life with a bit more love and know that your decisions will affect everybody. Okay, I'm done. But don't wait for the government to call a state of emergency. The state of emergency is happening right now. And if we don't respond by flattening the curve, look that up on Google, we're going to be in deep trouble.
And what flattening the curve is exactly what we've been advocating for from the time we got our first case. Close it down, shut it down. Understand this, there is an incubation period for this virus to work its way through your system. But if you cannot infect anybody else, if you are isolated, if you isolate yourself, better yet, if we all isolate ourselves, then we will not be able to infect each other. And once all of those who are exposed, who are carrying, who are infected, once it runs the course through those people without spreading to anybody else, then we would have killed coronavirus in Trinidad. Now you need to understand this. As a virus, it's not going to be on planet Earth forever. It will either kill everybody if we're stupid, but as we manage, as countries start to manage, as Puerto Rico declared a state of emergency because they took too long. Other countries have to institute curfews. They took too long. I have asked today for Trinidadians to voluntarily shut it down. As of today, New York City put out this. It may have updated since I got this. I got this from somebody in law enforcement in New York City. New York City schools will close Monday and remain shut until at least April 20th and possibly the rest of the school year, Mayor Bill de Blasio said on Sunday. To say the least, this is a very troubling moment, a moment where I'm just distraught at having to take this action, said de Blasio, who had been facing a coup from parents and teachers over his refusal to close the schools amid the coronavirus. Now, we've been dilly-dallying, but I want to say to the government, I'll give you props when you're doing something right. Okay? So you've shut down the schools for a week. I want to tell you 14 days is the incubation period. Shut it for 14 days. You see, all of those children for the 14 days would have created an environment where others could have contracted from them if they're carriers or them if their immune systems were weak. That 14 days, 3 days in some cases, 7 days in others, 14 days max. Understand the country that we live in has hot sun. What we are learning about COVID-19 coronavirus is, one, it has a fat shell lipid that is dissolved with soap. That's what soap does. Soap breaks down the case that holds the virus and it dies. Another thing that it can't deal with is UV light, and it can't take heat. So know that the more time that we spend in the sunlight, get out of the air conditioning, get out of environments where people are in close proximity. Anything less than 3 feet, I duck in people. Anything less than 3 feet, you're already in my personal space where this virus is concerned. Companies are taking action because they're not waiting anymore. This country's largest natural gas producer, BPTT, has decided to close its offices for a month as it responds to the COVID-19 threat. In response to questions from media, BPTT said for the past week, its health and crisis management teams have been working on response to COVID-19. It noted that in keeping with the rest of the BP Group Global, it had decided to close its Port of Spain and Galeota offices, and staff not required at work will be allowed to operate remotely. BPTT said BP Group has announced that any staff not required at a worksite for safe and reliable operations will transition to working virtually from home until at least 15th of April 2020. As a result, our Port of Spain and Galeota offices will be closed during this period. You see that full 30 days? That is so much corporate responsibility from BPTT. And I wish everybody else now would take that guidance and act. You see, we don't need government as big stick. When the Archbishop put out a release and he said that there will be masses as normal, but he asked that the elderly don't come to mass, I had to put out an instant release to him and tell him with an abundance of respect, Your Grace, the people who are going to come to church that are not the elders, who are going to think, because to the Christians and the Catholics, church is a mortal sin to miss it, so they come in. But you're going to put them in an environment where they're going to transmit COVID-19 to each other, and then they're going to take it home to all the elders who stayed home. And by the next morning, the church had reversed. And I'm saying, this is how we have to operate this. Right now, we have a Monday morning in front of us. As of now, 2 confirmed cases, maybe 3. It's not 51. But understand this. And I'm waiting for my brother to confirm this. But there are mild cases of coronavirus. There are people who get coronavirus and not know that they have it. And it runs its course, that they might have a mild version of it. There are other people it will decimate. And it has to do with age, and it has to do with your immune system, and it has to do with the environment and the circumstances after you contract it. Spend time in hot sun. Spend time, I cannot say it enough, get out of the air conditioning. Now listen to this. To the business people who responded today, because the government has responded and is closing public sector offices and enacting people's vacation time. Some people are complaining about that, and I am really upset that we are still trying to be selfish at a time like this. Listen, this is not the time to be counting marbles. This is a time for us as a nation to act responsibly. All of us together. Take the hit. Take the hit. Use up your vacation time. Take the hit. To the private sector business that complaining, they are complaining. What about us? What about us? I tell you, take the hit. No. A responsible government and a responsible banking sector that has been making billions of dollars on the people of this country should put out a release that for the next 2 months, the banking sector will remove loan payments, loan installments, interest rates, mortgage payments deferred for 2 months. You see, from the time they do that, landlords could defer. Because if the mortgagee defers and the landlord doesn't, then we have to deal with the landlord. But we need to make sure that everybody gets a gap to survive in. In the United States, I'm trying to keep up with the amount of information. AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile and Comcast will not terminate service for the next 60 days due to viral pandemic. The only thing that I've gotten in Trinidad is that Digicel is making it easier for you to come in and pay the point sanitizers. Listen, Digicel and B-Mobile, we need everybody connected. You are operating in Trinidad and Tobago and making billions of dollars off these people. I am calling on Digicel and B-Mobile to not disconnect anybody for at least the next 30 days so that all of our people could be connected. I heard a story today about a man who had a stroke and he was on his own for 2 days and he had no way to contact anybody. We are in a crazy time right now, but we could turn it around. Panic is caused when people try to act without information. We have a lot of information now. We need to protect the elders. So I've told my parents, and my brother concurred. He told them as well, y'all are on total quarantine. Nobody is to visit you. We have a trainer that goes to my parents' house and give them training during the week. None. Nobody is coming. You're there, you're on your own. We will drop stuff by the door. Anybody that have to come and visit you have to take off their shoes by the door and sanitize their hands before they even come in the house. But please, limit it for 14 days. I don't know, I think my mother and my father existed in that environment alone for 14 days. I might have to deal with something else. But that's just a little joke. But the truth of the matter is, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have to take this bull by the horns and we have to shut it down for at least 14 days. To the business community that is asking, who will pay my rent? Who will pay my bills? I want to ask you something. If we don't get ahead of this thing now, we have a chance. We have a preview. We see what this does to other countries. So we know. So if the government doesn't act, and if the banks don't act, and if Digicel and B-Mobile cut your phone, still, it's going to get worse if we don't deal with it now. This 2 weeks that I am asking everybody to take will be joke to when it escalates, should it escalate, and cause economic hardship down the road. Because if your suppliers can't get to you and your workers can't get to you, in some cities in China, you can't even go out your house to go for groceries. You have to order it and they bring what is available and they hand it to you on a stick, on a bag, in a bag. And you gotta deal with that. Don't wait. Don't let us lose it to the irresponsible people who are out there partying, thinking that this is an expression of freedom. It is an expression of gross stupidity in the face of massive amounts of information. Understand this. Of the 169,415 people who have this virus, 6,515 have died. And that sounds like a small number compared to that. But I want you to remember that 3 weeks ago, the whole total wasn't 5,000. It's 169. This is what you call exponential growth. The whole world is trying to get in front of this. Banks and mortgage companies have to work deals with airlines because the airlines could be in trouble. But if we let it spin on and on and on, there will be no end in sight for a long time. But imagine this. If in Trinidad, all of us isolate ourselves for 14 days. Now, I've been told that the cabinet is meeting tomorrow at lunchtime and they sent a call to the media. And I think that the cabinet is going to respond to this call and try to put a curfew or a state of emergency. And I want to tell them, don't do that. Don't do that yet. Give us 48 hours. Let Trinidadians and Tobagonians demonstrate that they could be mature. Let them demonstrate that they could manage a crisis and a situation without a big stick. We don't need daddy politics. We need leadership. What we need right now is for the business community in Trinidad and Tobago. You feel the American economy not taking a hit by closing itself off to Europe? You think Argentina and Brazil not taking a hit, closing themselves off to Europe? That's billions of dollars, and it will reverberate throughout the economy. But the faster we bite the bullet and shorten the period of contagion is the faster we will get beyond this crisis. We need to put this crisis in our rearview mirror, and we're not supposed to panic. This is not about panic. This is about act. We need to act. Act sensibly. You don't need a million cases of toilet paper. You don't need all the sanitizer in Pennywise. You just need to act sensibly. And if we all act sensibly, we'll get beyond this. We've gotten beyond worse things. We could shrink the time at risk down to a month. If the people who are currently carrying this COVID-19 coronavirus do not come in contact with any other human being, it will die right there. It will run its course, and it will not be able to transmit to another human being. It will die right there. That's the goal. That's the plan, to kill COVID-19 coronavirus by isolating our collective selves. I am calling on all businessmen and women in Trinidad and Tobago to give your employees. Now, if you are in essential services, you have to show up for work. And I am hoping that your superiors, your supervisors, your managers, and the government, the state, is providing our essential workers with personal protection equipment. I hope that they are getting their gloves and their sanitizers and their masks, and that they are able to operate in spaces that gives them less chance to come in contact with other humans. Any opportunity to make work environment open air, switch off the air condition, feel the heat, take the heat. The heat kills the virus. Endure the heat. We don't want it. We don't want it. How do you tell your seniors to isolate again? Isolate them. Isolate them. Okay? At the end of the day, if we don't take in front now, if this gets away from us, we will be reacting to something far worse weeks from now. Think it through. All of us want to come out of this unscathed. All of us want to come out of this financially secure without loss. We all want that. But that's not an option right now. We are all going to take a hit. But the faster we take it collectively is the faster we can act. If all of Trinidad isolates itself, the business community nationally will feel the heat, and the finance companies and the banks cannot take action against everybody. So the banks are going to have to act sensibly, and let's applaud them when they catch up. When Digicel and B-Mobile catches up and says, listen, free phones for the next 30 days, give them a round of applause. When the banks catch up and they say, listen, all interest payments, none for the next 30 days, all mortgage on hold for at least 1 month, so that it could facilitate landlords saying all rents moratorium for a month, so that business owners, it could lessen the impact upon them, so that after this is behind us, we could restart the economy quickly. Wayne Ram, whether or not it's a man-made thing or not, it's transmitted person to person. And if we interrupt the transmission, it is over. Lady Spice is saying that employers are browbeating employees. And I have no doubt about that. We have some really ridiculous people, irresponsible people in this country. And some of them, the CDC has gone on record. The top health body, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, has recommended there be no gatherings of more than 50 people for the next 2 months to try and stop the spread of coronavirus worldwide. As the number of infections across the United States reached around 3,300 and the number of deaths stood at least at 62, the CDC issued a recommendation which, if followed, would be the most strict yet. Large events and mass gatherings can contribute to the spread of COVID-19 in the United States via travelers who attend these events and introduce the virus to new communities. That was what we were saying about Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago. We were ignored. Thankfully, it looks like, and I'm saying, thankfully, it looks like right now, by now, if we were getting a bigger hit, we would have gotten a bigger hit from Carnival, but I don't know, so I can't say. But it's looking like the 14 days from Carnival did not give us, thankfully, the impact that many of us were fearing. Now that we have cases of coronavirus, to the government, shut down the airport. Shut it down. Shut down the airport. Everybody needs to be quarantining wherever they are. Assist citizens of the Republic wherever they are with spending money per diem to stay wherever they are in quarantine. Shut the airport down except for emergency travel. Shut it down. Shut everything down. To the businessmen and women who own the restaurants, the bars and the cinemas, step up. Step up. Close for the next 2 weeks. If all of us do this together for the next 2 weeks, then we would have flattened the curve. The amount of people contracting this illness would be smaller, and our already stressed public and private healthcare systems in this country would be able to manage that. But if we let it spin out of control, I want you listening to me to know this. If we let this spin out of our control, our public and private healthcare may not be able to manage, and they will have to decide who lives and who dies, like is happening in Italy. We do not want that. Spain is completely closed. NBA closed down. The entire Spanish Football League, British Football League, Premier League, Champion League, German leagues. These are billion-dollar industries, and they've shut down. BPTT shut down. Your little 2x4 bar on Arapita Avenue, not more important than them. Shut it down. Follow the lead. Get in step with the rest of Trinidad and Tobago. If you are essential to the operation of the nation state, this does not apply to you. Okay? I am still waiting. I do not know what is the problem he's having, but I want to tell you something. The fact that he took the time, and I told him today, I said the whole world collapsing under a pandemic, and you take a month to call me, but I know he's the person they sent to India, and they sent to Mexico, and they sent him to China. He is at the front line of this thing as an epidemiologist, and they work ridiculous hours to get us to a place where we have understanding. The understanding we have of this virus right now, we didn't have 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we were panicking because we didn't have information. We have a lot of information now. Trinidad hot sun kills this virus. Soap kills this virus. Proper hand hygiene. Proper hand hygiene is important. No matter who you see and who you love, resist the urge to touch in any way. Resist the urge for 2 weeks. Nobody ain't gonna hold you in mind. Nobody touching nobody. Let's take a little gear down, a little pat down. Let's take a little break. Let's let COVID-19, coronavirus, die. Let it die in Trinidad and Tobago without taking lives. Let us be responsible as a nation. Let us act responsibly. Let us remove unnecessary politicking from this critical potential crisis. Let us work as one people and get beyond this. Everybody could get back down into the mud after and swing your fists. But right now, let's protect the elderly and the infirm. You don't know who in your circle of loved ones is most at risk. You don't want to find out after the fact. We want a better Trinidad and Tobago in every way. And one of the ways that could be is we could be one of those positive success stories. Let the world say follow the Trinidad and Tobago model. Before the contagion becomes a pandemic or an epidemic or a crisis in your country, work together to shut it down. Shut coronavirus down. It is not the country we're trying to shut down. It is COVID-19. We are trying to shut COVID-19 down dead in its tracks. We are trying to kill coronavirus. If you can, go and play golf. Go and play golf. Go to the beach. Go and walk. Walk is good exercise in hot sun. Take yourself out for a stroll. This is not the time to be going down the islands and drinking with a crew. But if you have your own boat and you're going by yourself, go by yourself. This is time for introspection, somebody said today. Limit contact with other human beings outside of your immediate circle. And whoever is in your immediate circle, and I am trusting that to mean your family, they in quarantine with you, you in quarantine with them. Do not put each other at risk. Limit adding to that circle. If we do that together, all of us together, private sector, public sector, business, employees, everybody, if we do this together, we will get beyond this. Also, there are people in your community, in your wider community, that may not have support systems. Get in touch with them. Do not, especially the elders and the infirm, you can't go to them because you could take coronavirus to them. But you could provide supplies, drop it by their door, make sure that your hand don't leave no anything on the bags. Be really respectful, be really responsible, and you could drop some supplies for them. Let's help each other. The buddy system, our brother's keeper, all those things that we know. Let's put all of that to work now. And this COVID-19 coronavirus thing, it'll be quickly a thing of the past when it fades away from the whole world. Let's make sure Trinidad's numbers are low, and we don't lose anybody unnecessarily to this. Yeah, I apologize that I did not get my brother's call as yet, but tonight, tomorrow night, sometime, he's going to let me know when he can do this. I may not be able to advertise it, but as he is able to give you more information, technical information, I will start a live video right away. So, until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.